Hello there. Do we have anyone in the stream yet? I am not sure. Oh, wait. Hello, Abraham. How's it going? My YouTube says there is one viewer at the moment, so it's you, Abraham. Oh, no, Hamish as well. Wait, there's two viewers. Hello. How's it going? Oh, no. Bit sick. I wonder if it's the changing of the seasons. It just starts to get cold. Hey, Halogen. I had a bit of a conundrum today. Hamish's half attention because you're on Discord as well. You just got back from Japan. You got sick twice. Ah, that's rough. I remember getting sick in Japan once when we went there a very long time ago, and it was really sad. It was this kind of thing where it's like, I'm on holiday. I don't want to stay in the hotel. I want to go out and do something interesting, but it happens. Hmm. So I was saying I was having a bit of a conundrum today because I was like, all right, let's have a look at another um game engine and see about what you need to do with different game engines to get stuff running. But then there was a part of me that was like, do you need to know what you need to do first? And so I'm back and forth on like design some mechanics and check engines because it's hard to check the engine without designing, but we'll see. Ooh, thesis A presentation tomorrow. I remember that. I had a funny moment, Haljan, with my thesis A, where I presented one thesis and I ended up submitting a different thesis entirely. But what was I gonna say? It was just really funny because because I'd already passed thesis A, I didn't have to do another presentation when I actually changed supervisors and started a different thesis midway through. So it was just kind of like the second one I did was just unproven. It was just like, Mark's gonna do a thing. Since we already passed him on a completely different project, um, there's nothing we can do. So he's just gonna do whatever whatever the new project is. So yeah, it was kind of funny. However, I'm saying the stream delay is real low today. Well, that's good. I think I have it nowadays now set to default to low delay, which is only a couple of seconds. So we'll see how we go. Is it because I'm answering questions like really, really quickly after they come up for you? I also have figured out my chat pane in the back end because last time I had to watch my own stream to see chat. So that would have been, I think, delayed further. Um, but this time I've got the chat. I think it was because I have two YouTube accounts, one where I watch stuff and one which I stream from, so like I keep them separate. I know this used to be because like one was the teaching one and one was the personal one. Now I just have two separate ones, and so I just keep doing it like that. Um, and I realized that when I did the streaming, the chat pane was attached to um, the wrong account for some reason, which is a bug, I assume, on their part. Uh, and it couldn't connect to this end of the stream, like basically to the moderator side of the stream. So things were a bit weird. Okay. Algin saying your topic is one you thought up yourself and you already wanted to do, so unlikely to change. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I applaud having that much vision to actually think up something in advance. I just picked from a group of topics. I actually like went and spoke to a few different academics, asking them about their thesis topics and stuff like that, and what I might be interested in. Um, and in the end, that was a mistake because I didn't really want to do any of them, and I just picked one anyway. Um, and so I had to kind of flounder through that for 6 months before realizing I had no interest in it. I probably wasn't going to be able to get anything done. Um, and then I made up one on my own, like you've done, and that was much easier to do because it was like I have an idea about what I want to do with this and where I want to take it, and I have some good academic support for it and stuff like that as well. Because I was doing this graphics and AI thing It was like a I wonder where that code is now. Well, the fact that I don't know where that code is means that code is gone. But it was like this animating this little stick figure rock climbing, and so I put little holds on a 3D spaced wall, and then it had to like choose where it was going, and I'd made the kind of algorithm for its planning and stuff, like sort of like, you know, like you could make a path planning algorithm pretty easy, like shortest path, that kind of thing. But instead, what I did was I like dropped it off about 80%, so um it would make mistakes, and so it would go and it would try holds, and it'd be like, no, I don't like that, and then it would pull back and go in a different direction and stuff. So it had that kind of the same way as like when people are climbing and they make mistakes and they just kind of have to figure it out and where they're going to go. And I had like this little thing, like actually measured the sweatiness of their hands. Like the more times they moved, the sweatier they got, and then once they reach a certain threshold, they would dip into a chalk bag on their back. So it was like these fun little things. And like I remember my assessor at the time saying that would be really cool if you could turn this into a uh into like a screensaver or something, because it's kind of like hypnotic watching it do its little climby thing. But that code is lost to the sands of time now. Um, when did I hand that in? 2003, I think. I wonder how hard that would be to remake now. Especially because the whole thing was just C++ OpenGL. Um, I don't think any game engines existed back then. Ah, this is a good thing to check. Okay, okay. Let's find out who was first. AI. Yeah. Wait, no, 2024. 2005. So Unity appeared in 2005. Unreal was definitely after that. I don't know what game engines were before Unity, but they wouldn't have been readily available. This is the one I'm thinking of to be the earliest. Oh, 2005. I mean, you may have been able to get to it before then, but that would have been um what's I call it? That would have cost a whole lot of money that I didn't have. Hudson saying yours was less advanced thought and more. I worked for them last year and didn't finish what you wanted to do in time, so you asked if you could continue it for your thesis. That's kind of cool. I remember someone saying that like when we're all kind of like looking at PhD stuff, someone saying that having it kind of attached to your work makes it a lot easier because you just do your regular work and you just tack on the research. I went all in on the PhD, and just kind of didn't work out. There are still games being made and released on the old Doom engine. That's so good. Okay, so I've got my document here, which I'm gonna need to increase the size. What are we? 7th of April. What heading level did I have there? No, it's just bold. I remember learning about documents and stuff and just going, don't just bold things. You should have heading levels for everything because it makes it better for like screen readers and stuff like that. So I probably should go back and do these. What's that one? Heading 2. Yeah, these should be heading 3. I'll start here at least. Hamish is saying you posted a Steam link. Skin Deep is one example. I don't actually see, because it must have been auto moderated. Because I don't think I've got that automatically no links in chat. Let's have a look though. Oh, it totally is the old Doom engine. Look at that. That game looks pretty good. Like, it's funny how you take old engines with the just modern art style and you can get some really interesting stuff out of it. It's got a very kind of Kind of like an 80s cartoon aesthetic, maybe? Look at that ship. That would not be out of place in like Homeworld or something like that. Those old like boxy style things. It's interesting how you can take an older engine, like a really old, really basic graphics engine, and just put some really good textures in it, and you can get a whole lot out of that. I feel like we are it's a very low polygon cat. Um, yeah, I feel like we're moving into a some kind of territory at the moment where AAA games are not doing that well. Like, there's a lot of AAA games that release in a state that is not fit for play, kind of thing. They're either boring or unfinished and stuff like that. And so there tends to be this kind of pushback with people instead working really hard to make really interesting games in a lo-fi way. Like, you see games like Balatro is like the biggest example of a game that's just kind of like um the gameplay is what's important. And oh, I'm playing music. Oh wait, I don't think I've got computer audio getting sent through to you. So that's okay. It's just playing music at me. Anyway. That's interesting. Do they talk about it being Doom Engine, or just like people elsewhere have spoken about it? Oh, you can hear it. That's weird because I've got computer audio as one of my things here, and the sliders weren't moving, but maybe it's just the speakers going into the mic. Anyway, anyway. Speaking of Balatro, um, I have downloaded what's it called? Love in Lua. So I don't know if that's actually what it's called. I think it's just called Love. Um, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna install this engine in a language I've never used, but Lua, as far as I know, is a pretty low complexity scripting language. It's not really like a full on fiddly bits language like C or other languages like that. Um, oh, interesting. You followed the dev for a while. Yeah, cool. So they don't have to say what engine it's being made on, but like that's kind of cool that they were working on that. So yes, I've downloaded this. I don't know anything about it. I have been doing this kind of thing where sometimes I think, oh, I want to do some stuff on game dev things, and I'm like, no, just leave it till Monday. We'll just do everything on Monday. So the only thing I did was to download it. So let's install it and see how we go. I wonder what happens when that happens. When it blacks out my screen. Oh, it actually blacks out my screen. C. Yeah, C will be fine. All right. Let's see what this is. It's just this cute thing saying there's no game, which is fine. Okay, so I've installed the app and run it, and there's no game. Um, I was thinking that when I installed it that there would be some kind of uh, instructions or something, but maybe it's here and I just haven't looked at it yet. Okay, blah blah blah, install the thing. If you get stuck, go to the forums. Pretty easy to get started. Check out these code snippets. Yes. Check out some tutorials. Yes. Okay. Framework for making 2D games in the Lua programming language. I'm gonna increase the font size here because I don't think you'd be able to read it otherwise. Okay. Framework for blah blah blah. Interesting places to go from here. Getting started. That's bound to be it, right? Full source for hello world. Running this will cause an 800 by 600 window to appear and display white text on a black background. Okay, that's a good start. I just need to figure out how you actually build and run things in this. So getting started looks like a good starting point. Download the latest version. Yes, have done that and installed it. Right. Let's see if this works. It does not. I guess we'd have to add it to path or something like that. You note that you may need to add the directory where love resides to your system path variable. Okay, cool. Oh my god. Okay, working in Windows. This is why everyone like does a little bit of dev in Windows and then goes, you know what? I'm installing Linux. I can't remember how to change a path command in Windows. Having said that, let's have a look in I don't know whether Visual Studio is going to be the best the best editor for this. But we'll see. Running games, load a game two ways, load from a folder that contains this or .love file. Yep. It's a little annoying to update Windows path, yeah. I'm gonna see if Visual Studio will help me with that. Because I don't can VS Code give you project based paths? Okay, new workspace. Okay, new folder called love test and new file. So, what did it say? Main.lua. Create a folder anywhere, open up your favorite text editor. Sublime Text is a pretty good one for all operating systems. Has Lua support built in. Let's stick around in VS Code and see if I can get it going in VS Code. Create a new file in the folder you've created and name it main.lua. Okay. All right, we got Lua file, and it looks like it's got syntax highlighting. It's at least got an icon that says it recognizes what it is. So that's a good start. Put the following code in. So this is our hello world. So function and end, that must be our brackets. And accessing love, something in the graphics to print this. All right. You know the funniest thing? I work in a Mac at work all the time, so when I press Control S, it weirds me out now. I'm used to doing Command S to save things. Okay, so here's my hello world, and what we're going to try to figure out is whether this is unlikely to do it. Yep. Okay, because that is whatchamacallit. PowerShell, which is the same terminal that I was using before. So, is there an easy way to get love as a executable path in VS Code, or do I need to just edit the path variable in Windows? Let's have a look. Globally set path environment variable. Ooh, Stack Overflow. I should have asked AI instead, right? Wasn't the point of last week to be able to use AI? Do you reckon I can just ask it here? I don't know if but let's just ask and then find out. Uh Holy shit. It turns out that AI has all the answers to our problems. Hey Dean, long time no see. I can install WinBash. I don't know what WinBash is. But let's see if we can just use what AI said. Okay, find the folder where Love2D is installed. For example, it might be here. Yes, it is there. Add that to the system path. WinS search for environment. Okay, so there isn't a VS Code specific thing, but we can do this search for environment variables. This okay, you know, I could be like I could shit on AI as much as I want, but it just gave me the answer to the question really, really quickly and easily, to the point where it knew that I was looking for Love2D as well, because it knew what project I was in. Which is interesting because I hadn't specifically, like, none of this is definitely specific to Love2D, but it knew that that's what I was using. Maybe it knows some of this API stuff. That kind of makes me confident that I could use vibe coding in this engine as well. Okay, so system properties, environment variables here. Path variable, select it, click edit. Wow, I can just like, it's so funny how it's like, I could navigate this as a human the way I would normally navigate it, but instead I'm just reading through the text and just doing what it says. I do understand how people say that like, the more you use AI, the less basic capabilities you have left over. So WinBash is an alternative to PowerShell, makes managing things like your path similar to Linux. Oh, I could probably just do a command line path thing. Having said that, I'm rusty on that stuff as well, so either way, I would have to like figure it out. Okay, so new, add the path to the folder. Let's actually find out what that path is. Make sure I get the right one. So where do I install it? Program files? Oh. All right, easy. Oh, it was the path. Okay, let's make sure there's nothing else I need to do. Okay, to save changes. All right, let's check that again. Oh, I'll verify the path. Type CMD. Maybe I need to refresh this? Surely not. Not recognized. Well. Let's try another terminal. Okay. Standard command terminal is working. Let's see if another PowerShell will do it. In which case, right, so it's just this one here that is not working because maybe I need to refresh it. Do I need to start a new terminal? Can I kill this one? I know I can definitely start a new one, but alright, get rid of that one. This is the new one. So, why? Okay, this is an interesting question. Why would this not be seeing it? I've just started a new terminal, and when I started PowerShell from the start menu, it recognized it. Alright, we're going to turn it off and on again, because that's always the answer to all of our problems. There must be something where it picks up the path only on initialization, I'm guessing. There's also a warning coming up in PowerShell. Following extensions want to relaunch the terminal to contribute to its environment. Okay, you can do that. Mm. Maybe there was something wrong with my terminal. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Also, looks you forgot about the Marc screen. I should have pinged the Discord. I did send a message in Discord, but I didn't put an everyone ping on it. Maybe I should do that every time. I don't know how many everyone pings I should put in that channel before it's like too many, right? But we got a bunch of people in here already as it is. So, okay. So Love is now working. I don't need the chat box to be that big. Oh, wait. Let me give this one a thumbs up because it's good. I wonder if this will just run. Oh, it does. Love, boot, lure, no code to run. Your game might be packaged incorrectly. Make sure main.lure is at the top level of the zip. Traceback. Love, callbacks, lure, in function handler, function error. Well, okay. So, I mean, it's not that bad. It runs, but maybe this is not the right command. And I need to go back to that getting started guide and see. Yeah, once a week is okay. Yeah. So I don't know whether I should ping when I send the link out or ping when I'm gonna go live. It's probably better for me to ping like say an hour before I go live. And that's the time where I send out the reminder saying about to go live. This is when you want to log on. Okay, getting started. Put this in here, love, from a folder that contains a main.lua file, from a .love file that has a main.lua file in the topmost directory. For creating .love files, see game distribution. Okay, so we probably don't need to package it yet. It's interesting where it says it can load a game like this, but not what the command is to load it. Windows allow you to launch the game from within their code editors. Unfortunately, wow, Notepad++. We could go really like pared back text editor only. All right. Launch from the command line. Right, and it needs to actually have the directory. Okay, so the love.exe runs with just love. And the dot is this current directory, so that is interesting. We'll see whether this... It's so funny. Usually I would have this text on the other screen, but like while I'm streaming, I want you to see when I'm flicking back and forth to read things. Okay, this is the directory. Oh. No wonder it's not working. I didn't go into the actual directory that has the files in it. So this and current directory should work. Yeah, okay. It says hello world. Yay! We've hello worlded. Okay, so now we have our we can create code and we can run it. So that's a good thing. I might want to turn off my statistics. This is me because I tweak. You kind of know, right? Ex-graphics lecturer is going to tweak the hell out of their hardware. So this is like the current hardware profile of what my GPU and CPU are doing and stuff, and checking frame rates versus clock speeds, utilization, wattage, temperature, and stuff like that. So that way, this is a way I can balance like whether things are temperature limiting or limiting from other means. And also I've undervolted the hell out of my graphics card as well, so it's running, I think it's like 200 millivolts less than its spec, which is kind of nice for saving energy, and also really good because like the less voltage you're running it at, the higher clocks you can get it to without it overheating and temperature limiting. Also, it means that your computer doesn't sound like it's taking off like a jet engine every time you play a game. So these are my stats for all this stuff, which I'm not going to need when I'm doing 2D lure stuff. So I might just, where is it? This one. Turn off that. All right, let's make sure that that actually made that change. Yeah, okay. Because yes, I'm happily running 165 hertz when I'm just printing out the words "Hello World." Okay, so we've got that. In order to use this engine, hi Mitchell, are you caught up? Did you like go back to the start of the stream and go double speed until you catch up? Okay, so I'm hello worlding, which is great. I don't know enough about this engine to know what I want to do in it yet or anything. So what I'll need to do is have a look at some of their examples. Okay, I don't need any of this. Yep, that's fine. Okay, don't need that. Done that already. Building love, game distribution, config files, library software snippets. Feel like tutorials, well, let's have a look at this because it's the next one, although I think I already know how to build. Unless this is like... Right, this is actually building. Okay, so if you're running in Linux and you want to build from source code, you can build love from source code. Don't need to do that. Is this the Balatro engine? It is indeed the Balatro engine. So this is the reason why I'm checking it out, actually. I don't know anything about the engine other than it was used to make Balatro, and I was like, well, why not? That's actually a good enough reason to look at it. It depends on how hard it is to use. The nice thing is I can edit the text files in VS Code, which is a really good starting point. So if I can edit the text files in VS Code, I can use Copilot. I've already proven here really nicely that I was just trying to stuff around with the wait, I scrolled up too far. How to set the path variable for this project, and it figured out already I was in LOVE2D and said, okay, this is how you do the stuff with LOVE2D and how you run stuff. So GitHub Copilot knows this game engine, which is really nice. It means that I can probably vibe code stuff in this engine. So let's have a look at tutorials and see what I can learn. So here's the first one here. I guess this is their recommendation. Comprehensive tutorial teaching various concepts that a beginner needs. Starts with explaining what variables are and ends with how to make a platformer. I love it. I've literally taught this before in a different language. So back in a job I used to work years and years ago, I would occasionally do these school holiday game dev programs, and this is basically what it is. It would take people from like not being able to code at all into eventually, like at the end of like a 2 or 3 day thing, being able to make a little Mario jump around and land on platforms and stuff like that. So basic movement, a little bit of gravity, and some collision detection, and that's it. But JavaScript in a thing where you don't have to do the setup, so that the setup would be like the display the window and have it like update in real time and all that kind of stuff. So maybe this is a very good place to start, and then we look at other things. So even though it's going to make a platformer, that's not really what I'm doing. I'll get to learn a bit about how it handles sprites and position update and all this kind of stuff. Mitchell reminds me of your job. Do you work for one of like the Code Academy, or like what are they called, like that school teaching people in school how to code and stuff with game stuff? Can't remember what they're called, but I remember I've had heaps of ex-students go and work there and stuff. Is it Code Academy, Code School, something? Code Camp, there you go. I knew it was like a name with code in it, but I didn't know which one. Okay, maybe not new window. We'll go new tab. Sheevolution. How to love. Learn how to program games with the Love framework. Introduction, installation, variables, functions. Okay, as much as I'm going to be like, I don't need this, I reckon I do need this because I don't know the language at all. So it would be good for me to actually learn. Okay, introduction. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of text that you're not going to want to read. Welcome to Love. unlike GameMaker and Unity, Love is a framework and not an engine. You will have to do everything with code. This sounds like right up my alley, you know. I mean, I'm not afraid of coding, so that's fine. Also, I've got Copilot. As we saw last week, this statement of you will have to do everything with code is not as strong a statement as it used to be. You'll have to do some stuff with code, and then your AI will do stuff that you can't do. Okay, there's no built-in level editor or anything. Yeah, okay, so they're just saying you don't get like a 3D view of things, and you can't just drag objects around in the space the way that you would be able to in a Unity or an Unreal or something like that. Plus side to this, you will understand exactly what is going on and how it works. No, I will not, because when I vibe coded it, I will not understand how it works. Look, one or the other. At least I will most likely understand some things. But if I was going to copy past a code from someone else, I also wouldn't understand what's going on. Okay, tutorials written for people without any programming experience. Okay, so that means I'm going to be skipping over something. If you have experience with programming, I reckon you at least read the summary of every chapter, and when it confuses you, read the full chapter. Good advice. I'm setting a bad example. Okay, if I don't have any programming experience in programming, I hope this tutorial will teach you what you want to know. What you'll be learning. Here are some gifs to give you an impression of what you're going to learn throughout this tutorial. Okay, so there's this kind of shooting each other. There's this drawing a triangle circle thing. Oh, this one looks like the kind of thing that you do to teach people about like 2D graphics. Oh, sprites. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to learn how to make a sprite sheet and animate. We can learn how to move in a 2D space. Again, moving in a 2D space and doing collision detection. Oh, and also anchoring your camera either to the player or to another object. Yeah, all of this stuff is going to come in handy. Oh, and this little platformer. All right, cool. That's a really nice, I'm just going to go back to that for a second. That's a really nice way to do it, where they're like, okay, preamble's a lot of words. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about, but here are the things that you're going to make by the end of this. So we're going to show you snippets of code on how to do each of these things. And it looks like I've got really basic, just kind of 2D images to go with it. All right, installation. Good thing is we have already installed, and I have a code editor up and running. So they're just giving you all of that kind of... Oh, and here we go. There's the hello world. I've done the save. Ooh. Go to Project Lua Interpreter and select Love. Now when you press F6, a window... Oh, okay, all right. Wait, what did that just say before I clicked off it? Project Lua Interpreter. Maybe. Where would that be? That be here? I didn't see project. Maybe they're not in VS Code. I didn't actually look and see which text editor they had installed. No, they're in Zero Brain Studio. Stick it into the AI. Yeah. Oh, Sulux is saying maybe for the everyone ping, make a stream ping role. Yeah, I could do that. And that way people can be the people that actually want to know about every stream. Although it's also in its own channel, so people could set up notifications for that channel. It's probably easier if I do it. I'll think about that afterwards. Okay. Look, I'm not going to bother with the running. I've already figured out how to run it here. So if I can run it in the terminal, that'll do. Pinging when I start the stream makes the most sense. Totally. Yeah. Maybe I ping now. Oh, I won't bother pinging now. We're already 40 minutes in. But yeah, I should do that. I should just be like, yes, going live now. It's like one of the last things I do before I press go on my OBS and stuff. Okay. Okay. So, we know how to run things. Did you copy paste the example code? I encourage you to type the code I show you yourself. That might seem like a lot of extra work, but by doing so, it will help you memorize everything a lot better. Right. The one thing you don't need to type yourself are comments. Wait, that is the thing I would anyway. So it's double dash for a comment rather than double slashes. Every line with 2 minus signs is a comment. Computer ignores it. La la la. With print, we can send information to our output console. This is the box at the bottom of our editor. Yeah, in the terminal. Okay. Oh, this is good. They're teaching people about. So we can do diagnostic information to the terminal. Actually, let's put that in. So we've got the graphics thing. We go print. This should appear in the terminal. Let's run that again. Ruh-roh. Oh, we have a delivery. Hang on a second. Let me just change it over. Oh, a delivery. A delivery. My partner was just brought her in to say hello. Cause she doesn't seem to want to hang out in my room the way she used to when I would stream and stuff like that. I think she's waiting for my partner to go to bed and then she can like hang out in bed with her. Hang on. Yeah. Little chicken. Are we unhappy? We're unhappy we're being handled, aren't we? Aren't we? We want to get away. Yeah, you can put your feet on the keyboard. Oh no. Oh, running away. Oh well, she said hi for a little bit. Are you disgruntled about that? Do you want to hang out? She's deciding what she's doing. Are we gonna hang out? Are we gonna turn on chicken cam? What do you want to do, chicken? Oh, she's coming back. She's coming back, aren't you? Eh. Look at that little face. Yes. Yes, we are here. Meow. I went to pick her up and she jumped away. You gonna come say hi to everyone? I guess she has no concept of what everyone means. Oh, yes. Hello. Yes, I should set up chicken cam. I'll see if she actually settles down and sits behind me. I have the tripod and everything ready to go. Otherwise, we just hang out here. Just have a little pat. Yeah? Oh no, we're hopping down. You gonna hop up there? It's funny, she's like sticking around, so she definitely wants to hang out. This chicken cam. Oh, where does chicken hang out? Hang on a second. Let me turn on chicken cam. Okay. So I've got this thing for my phone. Oh no, she's leaving. No, chicken. She's just about to go down the corridor, so that might be it. That might be all of the chicken that we're getting. Oh. So where's my thingy? Which way up is it? Okay, so this is the thing that I have that allows me to view it from my phone. And so behind me here is this little kind of soft cat mat thing, and it's just sitting on a crate of Warhammer terrain. And it's like right behind me, and she likes to sit there when I'm doing stuff. But sadly, she has already decided to leave. I'm just looking down the corridor and she's gone. So I apologize. No more chicken. At least she said hi. Alright. Turning chicken cam off again. It was actually the second I picked up the tripod and I was about to set up chicken cam. She was like, nope, I'm done with you. And I'm like, okay, fine. Fine. Yeah. Anyway, fun little diversion. It's nice to see her, even just for a little bit. If she comes back, I'll turn on chicken cam. Until then, we are back to stuff I was doing with code. Right. Where is... Okay, Visual Studio was here. And I had the tutorial here. Right. That print was supposed to... Well, that's really weird because it's not in quotes. This feels odd. This feels odd, but... Syntax error. Okay, so it's... Let's just go with what they said. Print 123. So it's like an integer. So I'm still not getting text, but the thing about this is it might not send standard out to the same terminal that opened it. So some engines and stuff like that will open another terminal somewhere. There'll be like an invisible terminal. Sure is invisible. There's no options here. So I would have expected to come here. Oh, debug console. No. Nah, it can't be, right? There's output. This is not what I was thinking of. Oh, crap. I closed the whole thing. All right, so let's go back because I skimmed over that. Let's see if there's more detail here somewhere. So comment print, we can send information to our output console. This is a box at the bottom of our editor. When you close the game, it should say the text 123. I add the text -- output to show you the expected output. This is not be confused with love.graphics.print. Okay. If you put the following code at the top of your main lure, you'll see the prints right away. How this works is not important. Basically, you turn off that the program should wait to be closed before showing the prints. Oh, Haljan's saying the output was set to get. Maybe there's another option. Yeah. Let's try this. So this looks like a buffer because this thing says it wouldn't show the text until the program is closed, but it's not showing it either way. But you know, let's see what this does. Okay. So basically what we're seeing is that whatever our standard output is not going to the PowerShell that we're running this from. How big of a problem is that? I mean, I guess it could be a problem if I want to do diagnostic output while it's running, which could be handy for debugging and things like that. Can you right-click the game? Yeah, that's a good option. No, so it's probably capturing input because it's a game framework thing. But right-clicking on the title bar at the top is only giving us the absolute generic stuff, and there's no menu. Ooh, that's weird. I double-clicked it and it closed. Yeah, so I thought that maybe there would be some extra stuff there, but there isn't. Um, let's get the AI to tell us. See if it knows. Print statements to the terminal. You need to disable output buffering. You can do this by adding the following line to the top of your main Lua file. Yes, we have done that. By default, Lua buffers standard output. Right, print statements might not immediately appear. Yeah, okay, cool. If you set that, they will be sent immediately. Okay, ensure that is there. Yes, run your thing there. Any print statements in your code will now appear in the terminal as the game runs. Will they? That's an interesting thing to say. Example, your Lua file should look like this. Yeah, my Lua file looks very, very similar to that. I'm just making sure there's no spelling errors, but they should have come up in, like, it shouldn't have run if there were any spelling errors. So the print's there, that print is there. It's like exactly the same, right? Let me know if you need further assistance. I do. My code looks the same as yours, but I don't see anything in the terminal. Could be due to how you're running it. Yes, could be. Open a terminal. PowerShell, navigate to your project directory. We have done that. Run your project. This ensures that the terminal remains open and captures output from print statements. Okay, so that's definitely already happening. Check if the terminal is attached. If you're running the .love file, we are not. We're doing a .lua file. Or the project directly by double-clicking it. No, neither of those things. Terminal might not be attached. Verify that. Ensure the lines at the top of your IO standard out, set vbuff. No. Okay, spelling is correct. Test with a simple print. Okay. Let's comment out the graphics. Right, we're definitely not getting terminal output. Love load, love draw. Oh, okay. So let's see if it will do it on load. Oh, that's not what I said. I love it. It was trying to preempt. Okay. Interesting. Part of me is like, how much do I want this? How much do I need terminal output? Like, there are other ways to debug whether something's working or not, but I think it could be kind of handy. Check LOVE2D version. Oh wow. Right, we're getting to the point where it's like change the file from CRLF to LF. I mean, we could, but if that was the problem, this thing wouldn't run, right? But let's see, how do we change that? Surely it wouldn't run at all. Okay. Do you know how to do that in VS Code, Mitchell? I don't remember. Preferences? Settings? Keyboard? Yeah, sometimes that's an issue in Shell. Bottom right says CRLF. Okay, hang on. Where am I? Change that to LF. Okay, we got a hello world. It's weird. I wonder if there's something to do with the Visual Studio setup that has it not connected to the terminal. But you're right. Maybe the output, maybe what Halogen's saying, that the output was set to Git. Extension host, main. What should it be? Terminal? Okay, so if I run this now, and I go across to output, I don't even know what this is. I guess it's some diagnostic for the back end of the terminal. Window, terminal, main. I don't know exactly what all this is. Yeah, I don't know what this output window actually is. Change the extension to .love instead of .lua. I think that .love is something else. Oops. That's that's the wrong window, but because they had this thing about .love being hang on, was it in the getting started? This would be funny if the whole stream is just me getting print statements working. .love file has a main Lua in the topmost directory level. So the .love file, I think, is a package. File format is the same as a zip file format with .love file name instead of .zip. Yeah. So I don't think that's what we're looking for. This is giving the vibes you got the one time you tried using ChatGPT for Rust. Gave up after 15 minutes because I had no clue what I wanted. Okay, let's go old school then. LOVE2D print statements not showing in Windows PowerShell. (2020). This is old. Print. Hello, I found this post about printing to PowerShell Lua console. However, I cannot grasp what it is saying. That's not. I don't know. That question's not exactly. What exactly you're trying to? Yeah. You don't print to it. If you just want to see the output from a console window, run lovec.exe instead of love.exe. Form would be a console version of love. Ah. That could be an answer. All right, let's go back to the terminal. Ah. It's printing. Okay, so Windows sees the okay, so Google was faster than Googling random forums was faster than AI. Okay, so every time it was drawing, it was printing, so 165 times a second. But if we do it on load, it should just do it once. Actually, don't have to. Yeah, I've already got a print statement there. Okay, so right, there you go. We have possible debugging statements if necessary. Well, I'm running multiple copies of this. Okay, so yeah, it was looping because it was on the draw call. So this is where all the animations are. This is the load. So these must be like the functions are things you can attach to engine events, I guess you'd call it. So looks, should I be smug about this? Yes. Yes, the AI did not know. Can I say, just to let you know, Windows needed us to run. Do you reckon the AI will learn from me saying this? I don't know if it will or it won't. I assume it won't, actually. I'm gonna say .exe so it understands what I mean. Yeah, it might keep it just for this conversation. Need us to run lovec.exe rather than love.exe to connect the output to the current console. Wonder what it's gonna say now. It's expecting me to ask it a question, but I'm not actually. Oh no, thank you for the clarification. Yeah, okay, now it's telling me what I told it. It's getting the last laugh. It's like, no, I knew that. I could have told you that. I just didn't. All right. Good. Good. Okay. We can now go back to the tutorial. Okay, so we have print statements. Good. Chapter 2, variables. Okay, I hope I don't need this. Print this. Okay, variables don't look like they're typed. I assume Lua doesn't have typed variables. So we're going to be able to just chuck anything in memory. Sheep equals 3, test equals 20, pants, blah, blah, blah equals. Okay. So declaring variables is incredibly easy. It's very JavaScript-y. Although even that has the name variable. This is just like declare identifier and then assign a value to it. And storing strings is just as easy. Okay, that's going to be easy. You cannot put a number at the start of a variable name. Okay, no biggie. I was highly unlikely to do that anyway. I think it's like very programmer instinct to not use numbers as variable names. Functions. You can create a function by declaring a variable and assigning the function and saying it's a function, or you can do it the way that we're probably more used to by saying function and then the function's name. I feel like treating a function like it's a variable is something that's going to be counterintuitive to me, where saying function, then the name, and then the brackets is something I'll be able to do. Okay, so we can make functions. Yep. Functions have a return. Functions don't have to declare a return type by the looks of it. They can just return something. Okay, so this is a super, super loosely typed language. It's gonna freak me out. And I'll keep trying to put types in, but I actually think, this could be liberating anyway. Okay, so now I know how to do variables and functions, and it's nothing particularly revolutionary, so that's cool. Okay, Love is what we call a framework. It's a tool that makes programming games easier. Love is made with C++ and OpenGL, which are both considered to be very difficult. You know what? I could have just used C++ and OpenGL. That's, having said that, I think long term, if I just did something in C++ and OpenGL, it would be very, it would take a very long time and it'd be full of bugs. Because one thing I know as a lifelong C++ developer, I've basically never created a program that wasn't full of bugs. Whereas other languages probably going to be a bit safer. But as Mitchell says, this is not very safe. This is not a strongly typed language. In fact, it appears to be an untyped language. I guess we'll find out what happens when I try to add a number to a string. Let's do it. Okay, so string equals. I gotta stop using the word hello because that's in other parts of the program. Test string, and I will resist putting a semicolon on the end of it. Number equals 42. Wow. Thanks, AI. You know what? I reject your number. Test equals string plus number. Sure, print test. Oh wait, how do I accept that? Tab? Yeah, okay. Show me what you got. We are not strongly typed, and the outcome of being not strongly typed is catastrophic rather than anything else. So when we attempt to perform arithmetic on a string value, we get an error. So the typed nature of this means that anytime we get the typing wrong, we end up with catastrophic failure output. Well, now we know. Now we know the world that we're living in. There are no handrails, and there are no suggestions for what is going to be right or wrong. So it just allowed me to write all of this code, which is, I guess, fine. You can always just write code that's not going to work, but the autocomplete didn't notice anything here because there's no typing. So we're not going to get help if we make mistakes with typing. What do we got here? Language safety conversation, kind of topical for your thesis. Ooh, interesting. Mitchell says time to write tests. Looks is like, good lord. The AI encouraged me. Yeah. Okay. So this is something to think about for continuing to work in LOVE2D. If I do continue to work in LOVE2D, I'm probably gonna have to be really careful with how I name my variables, because typing is now a human error instead of being controlled by a compiler and interpreter. I mean, it is technically controlled by the interpreter, but it's just a catastrophic failure rather than any kind of sort of actual protection. So we have learned something useful here. This is why we play around with an engine before committing to use it. So that's something that, like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like, at least the error code was not just like a number or something. It was like you tried to do arithmetic on a string, so it is very clear what it was trying to tell me. Good experiment. Okay, what do we got here? Source code for Love is very complex, yes. But all the complex code makes creating a game a lot easier for us. Okay, fair enough. For example, drawing an ellipse with graphics, this is the source code behind it. Yeah, cool. I love it. So they're showing the source code behind how Love creates an ellipse, and now I'm here going, oh yeah, right. You've got me now. Now I understand what you're doing. Okay, you've got pi. You've got 2 pi, and then you've got your set number of points that you're going to draw an ellipse with. And then I assume we're going to do a parametric kind of like, yeah, we're just going to interpolate. And as we interpolate, we generate the coordinates with the cos and the sine like a circle, and we're going to multiply them by the scalar factors and things. And I assume there's some implied matrix multiplication going on here and stuff. So I think the funniest thing about this is them trying to show how complicated the back end is, because it's C++ OpenGL, was them just going into the world that I understand. And I'm like, yeah, you're showing me C++ code to draw an ellipse? I'm here. This is the world I know. The Lua world you tried to show me as the simple, easy world is the one that I don't understand. I love it. You might not understand this code above at all. I barely do so myself, and that's exactly why we use Love. I'm like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, this is perfect. This is what I know how to do. And the easy Lua code is the stuff that confuses me. Yeah, Mitchell, right? The C++, when the C++ popped up and they used it as an example of how complicated it can be in the back end. I was like, put me in the back end. Okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna back off from the C++. We're going to back away from the temptation to write the game in C++. Although, if I was to do it in the 2D parts of Unity or Unreal, that would be C# or C++. Wait, Unreal C++? Unity used to be C# at least. Which is awkward. It's like the one with the C in front of it that I don't know how to do. I can do C++ or C, and C# is the one that I don't have much practice with. Which was like, at least I understand what is happening. Glad you learned. Yeah, because it's like, what is that? Actually, let me just increase size at least, because I don't know how big this is on your screens. Okay, Lua is the programming language that Love uses. And so it simplifies things. It's really just we're Lua scripting into an API, and the API is calling the C++ backend. So that's nice in a sense because it means that all of this stuff should be pre-made for us, and hopefully enough of that stuff is there that we don't have to do anything manually. So everything is kind of API calls rather than like this to draw a circle is better than having to write the code manually for interpolating around the points on the circle and then laying them down as polygons and stuff like that. Okay, so Lua does this kind of thing. That's good. How does Love work? You're required to have Love installed at this point. Yes. Love calls 3 functions. It loads, and we create our variables on the load. After that, it calls update and draw. Yeah, cool. So update is updates to game state, and draw is once the game state has been updated, how do we render that to screen? So we load once, and then we update and draw. So that's our standard loop. So that's cool. That's like a pretty standard kind of real-time loop. Behind the scenes, Love calls these functions and we to create them and fill them with code. A bit of a typo there, but they'll be fine. Still understand what they're saying. This is what we call a callback. Love is made out of modules. Love graphics, audio, file system. There are about 15 modules, and each module focuses on one thing. Everything that you draw is done with Love graphics. Everything with sound is done with Love audio. Nice. Well organized. Good. We're going to start with graphics. There's a wiki explaining every function. Okay, so there's an API, so I can search that. All right, let's open that. We'll leave that in the background for now. We may go back, check it out. If we want to draw a rectangle, we go to Love graphics and we search for rectangle, and then we learn how to draw a rectangle. So there's a function to draw a rectangle. That page will tell us. Okay, let's go have a look. I'll search for rectangle. Love graphics rectangle. Here is the whatchamacallit inputs, and here's all of their descriptions. I should be able to feed the entire library into Copilot. I think that Copilot already knows Love2D because it's already being able to answer things. Okay, we can test this. We can test this. So I'll feed the wiki. Yeah, I have a feeling it'll understand. Well, let's find out actually. So okay. So if we wanted to draw a filled rectangle, we can do the following. How much English do you usually use when you're talking to AI? I was just about to say code to draw a filled rectangle, but I can imagine people saying, "Excuse me, artificial intelligence, would you please deliver me the code necessary?" I mean, like by then you're typing more than if you just typed the function in then. So this should give it to me. It'd be interesting to see if this thing hops out now and thinks about a filled rectangle in a different language. You draw a filled rectangle. Oh, it's different. Set color and then that. Oh, I wonder what this was doing for color. Maybe they are glossing over the color because they're going to do it in the next step. Functions that Love provides what we call an API. Awesome. Good. I am on board with the API. Okay, so love.graphics.rectangle. Oh, good. It knows what the input types are. So let's just accept that. I was hoping to get hover over and see. Okay, so what was the first and second were position? Let's go back to the wiki. Mode was just fill XY, so that's going to be, I assume, top left corner. Yep. And then width and height. Awesome. Okay, so that's fairly standard. So we'll be 100 pixels off the top and off the left. Or is it off the bottom? Should be off the top. If it's standard C++ OpenGL graphics, 0, 0 is the top left corner. And then it'll count downwards. Let's run this. All right, we've got a rectangle. It is 200 wide, 150 high, and you can kind of see even distance from the top and the left. That implies 100 pixels from the left, 100 pixels from the top, 200 across, 150 down. Beautiful. All right, we can draw a rectangle. This is a good start. Mitchell's saying, you saw a video on the ways of interacting with AI. One of the recommendations was to treat the AI as an actor, and you are the director, because the AI is basically just acting. Never tried it though, so no idea if that works, lol. I haven't done much directing, but I have spent a lot of time in theaters. So that would be an interesting way to talk to it. Okay, I can do a rectangle. Good. That means I can do all kinds of shapes if I want to look up what's in graphics. I'm moving the rectangle. Okay, so update will have something. Let's start with the 3 main callbacks. So we're going to have a load, an update, and a draw. I don't have an update yet. Wow. It knows what I'm trying to do. I guess like all other Love projects had these 3 in this order. Okay, I don't need that comment. I love how it tried to put it back in. It's like, you sure you don't want that comment? If you press tab, you can have that comment back. Okay, so update is going to be game logic, draw is graphics. Let's see what this is talking about. Okay, draw the rectangle. So this looks like a frame. Yeah, okay, this is just saying, okay, fine. I know this. So, X, Y, width, height. That's a pretty standard layout. It wants the style marks. Oh, I can't imagine what it's like nowadays to work with people who don't understand their own code and are getting AI to put comments in for them. It's just like, oh my god. Like it would be like, yeah, you've got comments and I don't have time to read through all of these to figure out whether you're actually making sense or not. Okay, so on load, we're setting a variable to be 100 and then we're drawing with the X position being that X. Okay, so I'm not going to copy paste the code like they said, because they were saying this is better to learn it yourself, and I'm going to resist putting semicolons on everything. And we're going to draw this with X being the X position. So in the state I'm in now, it should just be a static. But if I update X in the update, this is delta time, isn't it? Okay. That wasn't in... Look, let's not use that yet. Let's just go raw frame time because they haven't taught me about delta time yet. I do know how that works, but we're not going to use it yet. All right. So I assume that X is going to update. There'll be something in here saying in the update we can do X equals X plus 5. Yeah, cool. I might slow mine down because I've got very high frame rate. +1? +1 will do. Oh, wow. What is... Oh, ha, nice. If X is greater than 800, then equal to 0. So what this is doing is that after it goes off the side of the screen, it'll go back to the side of the screen or come through again. Very interesting. I wonder if that's the code that they're about to show here. It should now be moving. Delta time. We got to move in rectangles. One small problem. If you run the game on a different computer, yes, rectangle might move at different speed because they're not all running at the same frame rate. So they're describing using time rather than frames to calculate things. Okay. Let me just run this first. Okay. We have a moving rectangle which has now disappeared. But that's good. We've got animation. Also, 800 isn't the end of the screen all the time, so this just happens to be a... I think it was like default, the default window is 800 by 600, but I have a feeling that when I actually start doing this, it'll probably be larger than that. I don't think I need it to be that small. I assume that we can basically assume 1080p monitors for everyone nowadays. Anyway, we have that animation, but they're saying, let's learn about delta time, which is a very good thing to learn about. So we put DT in there. We can print delta time. Oh, right. That's going to tell us the time it took to update the frame, which is good to learn about. Okay, let's have a look at what our delta time is. This should tell us, I don't know what the format will be, but how many milliseconds it takes to render each frame. Very small. That's in seconds. Yeah, because that's okay. Let's stop this. 0.006 is, what are we at? 6,000ths of a second. So 6 times 165 is going to add up to 1,000, roughly, not exactly, but close enough. So that is our frame time in seconds there. So delta time is in seconds. Cool. All right, that's good. It being in seconds makes it easy to do calculations because we can just multiply that by real time, and then we'll be able to see how long a frame took to update. Good. All right, and they're going to say, to get consistent movement, we're going to use delta time. So x equals x plus 5 multiplied by delta time, which means it will move 5 pixels per second, which is incredibly slow for seeing how this works, but it'll be fine. But also, it's just a good example of like how to use delta time. Okay, and we're going to stop printing out delta time because we don't need that. But at least we're getting like, this is how long it took to update that frame, and then we draw it. So we will get an accurate amount of time in between frames, and then multiplying by delta time will give us consistent movement per second rather than movement per frame. I'm going to go 20 here because 20 pixels per second is still going to be pretty slow. All right, let's go. Yep, there we go. That's what I thought. 20 pixels per second. And there's 800 pixels across, so it takes, I don't know, 40. Yeah. I do know. I can do basic math. It'll take 40 seconds to go from all the way on the left to all the way on the right. Good. All right, we have delta time animation. So we have drawing and we have animation, which is pretty awesome for how long have I been in this thing? Half an hour to an hour? That's good. We can basically do anything from here now. We got to do texturing and stuff, but still. Okay. Variable update based on delta time, multiplied by delta time to get it consistent regardless of frame timing. No nice way to test this. I was like, can I clock my graphics card down to like nothing? But it's a 3080 Ti. It doesn't matter how low I clock it. It's going to be able to do everything that we're doing here. But at least knowing that we have it on delta time is nice. Okay, if statements. I should be okay with these, I hope. Let's just look at the format. If, condition, then code, and end. Right, so instead of brackets, they've got this word end at the end of every thing. Oh, emulator. Yeah, I could run it in something and just... I don't have any VMs running on my computer right now, but it'd be interesting, like, you run it on a virtual machine, chop out all of its resources, and then run it, and then you'll see the spotty delta time. Having said that, I think it'll be fine. I'm just going to trust it. Condition, yes. So if this, then do that. All right, I think that's all I need to know for if statements. Oh, this is the thing. If x is less than 600, then move it along. And then so we're going to make it stop when it reaches the side. Okay, that's good. Let's do that. if x less than, not 800, right? How big is my thing? It's 200 wide, so 600 will get us to stop. Then we do this. Hey, it auto finds the tab level that something should be at. I wonder if Lua is a indenting sensitive language. Let's find out. This should break it if it is indenting sensitive. I should have sped that up. I'm not going to wait 40 seconds. Let's go 100. Not Python. It is not Python. It is not indenting sensitive. Indenting is just for humans. Okay. If it's got ends, it's a good sign that it's not white space sensitive. That's a good point. It wouldn't need this if it was sensitive to indent level, because this would just be, if we go back to that indenting level, then it's over. So yeah, so it is. I wonder where Lua sits in the overall scheme of things, because I know it's quite an old language. Like, it's like at least 15 to 20 years old minimum, because I was doing Lua scripting for World of Warcraft mods. I didn't actually write very much. That's why at the beginning I still said I don't know Lua, because all I did was edit some things that other people had made back in the day. So it's got C-like things where it's got bracketing, as in this is the open brackets and this is the closed brackets. But it's slightly more modern in that we take out things like semicolons and like punctuation, all that code punctuation stuff, but is not as modern as something like Python, which is just purely on indenting and doesn't need to close brackets. Solix is saying, despite having graduated, still not actually sure what distinguishes a scripting language from other languages. I'm not sure either. I wonder if... Is it anything to do with the fact that it's interpreted and not compiled? Is that something to do with whether something's a script and not a language? Or is that just like a colloquialism, the term scripting? Calling Python modern. Hey, if you spend all your time working in C, Python's quite modern. But I guess Python is now... Holy shit, Python's 20, 30 years old? I think. Wait, Python's older than Java? That I did not know. Well, that just shows that I learnt Java before I learnt Python. I didn't realize Python was that old. 1989? You what? Wow. Okay, Python feels more modern because it has like a nice API. It's been updated a lot and its syntax is much easier to handle. That is so funny. Imagine Python being out for 6 years and then you write Java. Like, let's go back in time and code the way we used to code instead of using all these nice modern things. This could be really funny if I actually look into more recent languages. Like, I've heard a lot of people talking about Rust being really good and stuff like that. So it would be interesting to see if I see that and I just go, oh, this is so much easier. All right. So this thing should be updating its position only if it's less than 600 and stopping. Did I already test that and I started talking about other things? I'm not sure, but let's test it again. Oh, I'm out of water. All right, beautiful. It scrolls along to the end and then it stops when the top left corner is at 600. Okay, so we have successfully executed an if statement. Wikipedia article for scripting languages doesn't give specific lines. It's a scripting language if it's used for scripting. What is scripting though? Are we gonna have to go down this huge deep dive into like if you're doing scripting in a language that is not a scripting language, then it's not scripting. And what is scripting as opposed to coding? Like, what is the difference? It's so funny. Golang and Kotlin are in the same fields as Rust. I remember something about Golang, but I've never used it. Do you recall there being a Python equivalent, but you forgot? Sulux is saying a script is a relatively short and simple set of instructions that typically automate an otherwise manual process. So we're talking about like shell scripting and stuff like that, or batch scripting and things, I guess, as opposed to coding. And Mitchell saying scripting seems to be dependent on the context when you're doing rapid dev. Yeah, yeah. So, for example, at Canva, we use TypeScript, which has the word script in its name, and we have I think the repo, the Canva repo, because we use like you can actually well, I can't, you can't. But I can download the entire Canva code base, and it's about 4 gigs. So it's just a script. Don't worry, it's just a script. It's 4 gigs uncompiled. So yeah, who knows what scripting is or means. We use a language called script for much more complicated things than scripting. Okay. Fun diversion. Let's go back to this. Okay, so we have an if statement. Yes. Double equals means 2 things are the same. Single equals to assign. So there's some very kind of just C reminiscence here, which is fine. Okay. Yes. Booleans. We can set variables to true or false. Okay, we have Boolean variables. Good. Arrow keys. Oh. Keyboard is down. Right. Good. Controls. They're in camel case. I guess I will use camel case because they do. It would be weird if all the API stuff is in camel case and my stuff is in snake case. Okay. If keyboard down, then do that. And so we can actually look up keyboard dot is down. Did I search wrong? Joystick is down? Wait. No. No. It has to be there, right? I'll just look up keyboard. Did I spell keyboard wrong? Love.keyboard. Love.keyboard is down. Alright, so the text I typed in was there. But maybe their search engine just isn't great. Okay. Love.keyboard.is down. If... Let's just replace this. Oh, it's not giving me an autocomplete. Is down. Do I just type in the letter? Let's go back. Let's go back to our docs and see. Is down right. Oh, so WASD is bound to up, down, left, right? Let's find out. Okay, if keyboard down is right, then move X positively 100 pixels per second. So Luke is saying, does anyone know if there's an equivalent to Rust, Go, Kotlin, etc. for Python? A new language from the last decade or so that's trying to fill the same niche but more well-defined design goals. That'd be interesting to see. Or Python itself has just been updating itself, and so there's no competition because it is its own competition? Oh no, Christoph is saying Jai. Jonathan Blow, did he make his own programming language? Okay, let's test this. Oh, we are not doing anything. Okay, WASD is not doing this, but the right arrow key is doing it. So right is the arrow key, and it's not mapped to WASD by default. Let me see whether I just skipped ahead by accident. Right, no, they're saying right arrow key. Why did we say D? Oh no, I was like, I got confused when they were talking about the D. They're talking about camel case, whereas I should have ignored this entire paragraph. But when I saw the D there, I thought it was D, but it's arrow key. Okay, good, good. I'm not doing anything wrong. I thought they were automatically mapping keybinds or something like that. Okay, so right and then left. And then we've got and or. If this and this, then do that. If this or this, do that. Okay, if true this, false, then blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I know how to do Boolean logic in if statements and things like that, so I'm not too worried about that. But we might do this. If this, else if. Hey, nice. I will accept that. And that just automatically does that, and there's the end there. Oh, I could have just auto-completed the up and the down as well, but let's go with this now. Oops. End expected to close the function at line 8. At line 8? The function started at line 8. There. Do I have syntax incorrect here? Should there be an end before the else? Let me go back to the if else. If, then this. Else if is one word. That's going to catch me out. I guarantee I will get that wrong again. All right. Left arrow, right arrow are moving. Okay. So we can do moving objects based on key presses. It's nice that I don't have to manually do the game loop. So I don't have to do a while loop and measure delta time and stuff like that. Delta time is just like a kind of like a global variable. Silik's saying you did see Julia. Unsure if that's explicitly the same kind of concept as the other ones. Jai is supposed to be a language for game developers replacing C++. Pretty ambitious. Haljan, that he's behind you during lectures flashbacks. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Like having, you know, like having pair programming, except you've got like 400 people. Like someone's going to be able to be like, hey, you should do that. Or just like people yelling out, save your file, when I wasn't compiling. I was compiling the old file and then wondering what's going on. People are like, we've only got you for 2 hours, man. You stop making mistakes. We need information out of you. Little did you know the mistakes were the teaching. Actually, some of you definitely knew that. Oh, it helps incentivize people paying attention. Also, it was fun. I always liked to like educate like it's all a game. Like we're all just kind of stuffing around. And I think that that kind of fun playfulness actually holds people's attention really well. When they talk about what holds people's attention and engagement and stuff like that, people can get real dry and boring about that. But if you're eternally kind of playful about it, you're probably going to get better results. Learned that from Richard Buckland back in the day when I was a student. Okay, and an or. Oh yeah, okay. So all of that was Boolean stuff, which I already know how to do, but I will get the syntax wrong. Okay, tables and for loops. Okay, what's a table? It's an array, isn't it? It's lists in which we can store values. Okay, can we not call them tables? We're going to call them lists. Curly brackets create a list. I don't know if this is a list or an array or a vector, but I'm sure as hell not calling this a table unless it's two-dimensional. We just created a table called fruits. Now we can store values inside the table. Multiple ways to do this. Put values inside the curly brackets. Okay. So we can initialize it like a vector. This looks like it's non-length specific, so we're not having to allocate memory or anything. Table insert, which means we can insert something into the fruits list, but where would it be then? First argument is table, second argument is the value we want to store inside the table. So is this append? Is insert append or is it prepend? It looks like after load this, a table will contain apple, banana, and pear. Is this ordered? It is. When you run the game, you should see the text. Access the values of the table by writing the table's name, followed by brackets. So not curly brackets, but square brackets. This thing's an array, isn't it? Oh no, it's a vector, because it's not length specific. Inside these brackets, we write the position of the value we want. I've already seen this, and my eye is twitching because it's indexed from 1. No, I'm going to hurt myself now. It's indexed from 1. Oh, you're welcome, Christopher. Yeah, I like to, yeah, when I was doing the lectures at the beginning, I remember I had a conversation with Andrew Taylor, who was like one of the senior lecturers at CSE, and I said, what do we do with online stuff? And he's like, you can make it as open as you want to make it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna make everything public and open then. The only downside to that was I made it public and open while I was teaching and streaming, and I had one point where there were like 2,000 people in one of the lectures. And then bots started spamming us and stuff, and I was like, okay, the thing's going to be unlisted and then go public afterwards. We're not going to stream live and force some of my tutors to be like full-on YouTube moderators. Okay, back to the hell that is indexing from 1. Chances of me making a mistake here are incredibly high. Yeah. All right, that's another. Okay, so this seems 100% doable. LOVE2D. It seems 100% doable. The only issue is whether it like screws with my coding instincts enough to be a problem. So the lack of typing and the indexing from 1 might hurt me, as in I will just make unintentional mistakes, even if I can fully understand that this does make it more usable for people who haven't coded. But indexing from 1 is freaking me out. Oh, Mitchell, it had to have been 2020 when we went online. We were kind of forced online by lockdowns and stuff like that. We couldn't bring people into lecture theaters during the height of COVID. So when we went online, I went fully public online, and then after like it was sometime in the second week when YouTube was like, oh, you've got a lot of views for these live streams, let's just pump more people your way. And it was like, no. And then I had to run them unlisted, so the class would have the link for it, but the public wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, so indexing from 1, right? Love draw graphics print Apple. Okay, so we can make the thing, and then we could print these in different locations. And we can use a for loop for I equals 1 to 10, do this. Right, okay. So lists and loops gives us the ability to store multiple objects and iterate over them. Nice. Yeah, Mitchell's suffering from success. I was like, I should monetize this channel. But like, imagine like you go to your scheduled tutorial. Not a tutorial, you go to your scheduled lecture, you start trying to watch your lectures live stream, and then you get YouTube ads. Like, that would be like, probably get fired for doing something like that, right? I still actually have never turned ads on those. I still get a lot of, well, not a lot, but I get some views on the old lectures and stuff like that. Well, Christopher there is like someone who watched them well after the fact. And yeah, and I haven't put ads. I actually don't have ads on these streams either, because like, what's the point? I'm here with a couple of people who I basically know, and I'm just sharing time with you, so I don't think... also, the ads would just never make enough money when there's 12 people online right now. This lecture was sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Man, YouTube ads. There's a lot of real bad YouTube ads. ads in the break in the lecture. Actually, we did technically have ads in the break in the lectures, where when student societies wanted to say something, it'd be like, yeah, you can say something in the break, 100%, you know. But I think that's very different from an ad. That's actually like stuff that people would actually be interested in. Haljan said, you've been in courses that turn ads off, but student gets ads anyway. No. YouTube, stop. Stop your rampant need to make money even off educational content. Okay. So, oh, the word table is there. I'm going to have to call them tables. All right. It's a one-dimensional table. And you can insert things in it, and then you can loop over it. YouTube will show ads even if turned off. Wow. So it's like kind of client side. That's super annoying. I guess that means that if you're going to teach stuff, you're gonna either have to deal with ads or find a better streaming platform than YouTube, which is actually kind of difficult because YouTube's really easy to stream. Like when we hopped over and I just got my streaming setup going, it felt really easy. I did end up having to show other people how to do it, but like they figured it out pretty quick. Does YouTube push videos more if they have ads? Who knows? Who knows what's happening in the algorithm? I don't actually, so it could be anything. Okay, editing tables. What if we want to add or remove a value from the table? I want to know what the backend is of the table. Is it a linked list or a vector? I'm assuming since this thing is just built on C++, that it's a vector that's been given another name. So that it has a length and it maintains its ordering. But they haven't explicitly said that it maintains its ordering. Like this could be a set, but I assume it isn't because you can index it. So it's not a set. Right, no, it's not a set. It's going to maintain its ordering if you can index it. Okay, it's a vector. I just got to think of it like a vector. You can insert. All right. And this is for... Oh, cool. The length of the table. Oh, it's like my mouth doesn't want to say that word. The length of the table is hash table name. But it's not a hash table. Something else entirely. Okay. YouTube is definitely one of your favorite lecture platforms since you can go back and rewatch it 2 times. Yeah, people were doing that today, which 100% works. Was great if you missed a bit from sleeping and could catch up. I think it was always really funny when like I have a morning lecture and I'd be like, yes, I'm glad everyone woke up in the morning to come here for the lecture, and someone would be like, I'm still in bed. And I'd be like, look, I would be too if I could do that with enough energy to actually still deliver content. And the recordings on YouTube were really good. I had someone who had like, you know, severe hearing difficulties one year, and they messaged me to say that because we actually had on hand, like university pays for people to transcribe for us. And this student was like, don't worry, I'm just using the YouTube closed caption subtitles and it's pretty much exactly what you're saying. So I don't even need it, and it's like borderline real time to get that. So it's good. YouTube Premium goes up to 4 times speed. I've never used speed changing, even though I have YouTube Premium just to like stop ads. Yeah, hell, just like morning lectures, you turn up halfway through and watch it 2 times speed. I think the only difficulty with that is if you're trying to ask questions, because your questions will be out of sync. Okay, so we are back here. We can change things. We can insert... Wait, where was I? I was trying to figure out if you could insert something at a particular position, but it looks like it's always appending. It's always putting things on the end, but you can remove a certain index. Yeah. So if you remove banana, it moves pear and pineapple. So if you delete an object, it shuffles everything over. And this is the downside of things like this, not knowing the backend implementation. How slow is this? Is removal an order n operation? And they're not going to tell me in this tutorial. This tutorial assumes people have never seen this before, but I want to know whether it's expensive or not. 4 times is too much. 2 times for slow speakers is usually good. Yeah, I feel like 4 times you're gonna barely understand what's happening. That's more for like skimming and then stopping when you find something interesting, right? Okay, so we know we can remove a certain index and the other indexes will shuffle into place if that happens. I pairs. Back to the for loops. There's actually another way, an easy way to loop through the table. Use an I pairs loop. I'm going to assume that I pairs is an iterator. For IV in I pairs fruits, do print IV. So I is the iterator, V is the value. So I pairs is iterator value pairs. Okay, cool. Good. All right, I can do all that stuff. I wonder if I should do something in order to at least cement the syntax. List stuff. No, I'm gonna need these to be strings, aren't I? Oh, cool. Tab autocomplete. Good. And then what we're gonna do is in update? No, in draw. Let's get rid of the hello world because we don't need that anymore. Love graphics. Print. Oh, I should loop. I should loop this, shouldn't I? Okay. Well, what is it, chicken? What is it? She's in the corridor meowing at me. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh, my partner's gone to bed. Chicken wants to go in the bedroom. I'll go let her in. I'll be right back. Just looking after the little child. Okay. What was I going to do? I was going to do a for loop for I, V in I pairs list stuff. I mean, it's just so easy when it's auto completing and most of it for me. Do something. What? Oh, when I press enter here, it's auto completing to that. Yep. That's annoying. Okay, do and what are we gonna do? We're gonna print out the value. We'll print out the I and the value in a certain position. Okay, so print the value. Oh, well, let's print out the I. Ah, okay. So concatenating strings. Let's go back to the thing and see how they were doing that. Print I, comma, V. Really? Oh no, that's print. I wanna just do this in graphics like this. Okay, print. Oh, they didn't do that with the IV. Oh, good. Okay, so this is me proving I have to figure out how I do this. Okay, for this V, that I pairs graphics print V, and then XY. Yeah, so this is the X position, this is the Y position, and using the I value to change the Y position. Okay, cool. All right, so we're not printing out the I, we'll just print out the V. And let's go 100 in. from the left. And then we'll go 100 down. So this is actually going to be on top of the rectangle. So we may have to move the rectangle out of the way. Good thing we can move the rectangle. Hey, Nightcakes. Oh, TLDR of what happened. LOVE2D. I am writing Lua, and I have just found out the LOVE2D indexes from 1 and has no types on its variables, and it's making my brain hurt, but maybe I should embrace it. Yeah, and so I'm going through a tutorial, and I've learned how to... Actually, just give me a sec, You watch. I will run this, and you'll see what I've learned to do so far. Okay. Plus I times by how many pixels apart do we want these things? Maybe 50. Okay, so this should print each of them below each other 100 pixels from the left of the screen, and so it should be A, B, C, D. And we'll have our box that can move. So I'll save that, run this. Right, so we can move the box, and A, B, C, D are listed 50 pixels apart. I mean, that's about 50 considering this is 100. Yeah, that's about 100 there. Nightcakes, this is kind of the progress on choosing the engine, is I'm fiddling around with LOVE2D and seeing if it does what we want it to do. And it's pretty good. It's actually not too bad because it's sort of like, it's not a full engine, it's just a framework. As in, it has an API that it runs in Lua, and the back end of the API is C++ OpenGL, which made me laugh because when it showed the C++ code to show how hard it would be to do this in C++, I was like, oh, I'm home. Give me this instead. And then I was like, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. We're not going to do this whole thing in C++ OpenGL, because then we will take many years and not get a result at the end. And it'll be full of bugs because regardless of the amount of time and experience I have with C++, that doesn't make me magically able to write it without without bugs. Okay, so we've got this. This means we have keyboard controls, we have the ability to draw simple shapes, we have the ability to write text as well. Get Hayden in on this. I actually haven't spoken to Hayden in many years now. So, no, it's all right. I think I got to do it myself. If I collaborate with anyone, it's actually going to be difficult. So it's probably easier. It's like kind of like you get good value out of one person, and then if you're like, you don't get efficient value until you then push up to like 6 or 7 people, and then you got a team working on something. And then it's worth doing all of the collaborative stuff. I think working with 2 people is pretty difficult unless you're like completely separate, like one's a game designer and the other's a programmer, or one's an artist and the other's a programmer or something. You can do that. But I think I'm flying solo on this one. Okay. So we are drawing. We have the ability to create a table, which I'm going to keep refusing to really call it a table because it feels like some kind of vectory kind of thing. And we have the ability to loop in it. I did the most complicated one, but there's going to be other ways to loop as well. Good. All right. So basic programming constructs are working. Summary, tables are lists, blah, blah, blah. We get the length of the table with hash table name. I think that's the only one that I'm going to have to remember. I would have like instinctively gone table dot something, but it obviously doesn't have that. It has this instead. So there's a certain level of like trying to keep things simple here. Objects. We use tables as numbered lists. We can also store values in a different way with strings. Rect is short for rectangle. We create, oh, this is like key value pairs, isn't it? So we can create an empty table and we can say the width of that table is equal to 100. And that way we can find that by dot width. Right, this is why dot length isn't there, because you might want to put dot length as a property. So this is adding properties to objects. I assume this is just like a key value pair, right? Key and then value. All right, I got my keywords. I get what's going on here. So it's a loose struct. If I am thinking correctly, this is what I'm seeing here, is that any variable can just be given subvariables. Oh, no, it's not any variable. It has to be a list. So, right, you create its stats, which you can then edit whenever you want, and then you can draw it. So you load that, give it its speed. Right. So we're getting to this kind of nearly object-oriented feeling of game objects. So this would be like, it's not a rectangle, it's a character. And the character has XYZ stats, like a whole bunch of things, and then you can access that by dot on the character. So this is like a completely non-defined struct that you can edit at any point to add or remove statistics. Halogen saying, between this and the one indexing and the end keyword, it's giving MATLAB vibes. Wow, that brings me back a very, very long time. I haven't touched MATLAB in 20, 25 years, I think. And I did not enjoy it when I did. So it's interesting. It's like pseudo coding. It's so loose. Like the fact that you can just be like, this is not defined to have certain variables. You can just create it with whatever variables you want. And if you make another rectangle, you would have to redefine everything. And I wonder if we can have multiple of these. Do we have nested tables? Can I put a bunch of rectangles in a table? Can I put different types in a table? Maybe I can put different types in a table because there are no types. Except there are types, because when I tried to multiply a string by a number, it said there was a type error. So, you know. Oh, it's very interesting. I wonder if this is too loose for an old man to program. We'll see, but it might actually be really easy and really fast to get things done. Okay. So we can set up an object, give it a set of properties, and then we can use delta time to do stuff with it. The power of tables, create multiple moving rectangles. Okay, list of rectangles and a function that creates a rectangle. So global variables. Okay. All variables are global because this one was created in a function. And it appears to be accessible without any kind of like particular specific access. So any variable is global by the sounds of it. Maybe. What about this one? That can't be global because you're going to call this more than once. Every time we call create rect, a new rectangular object will be added to our list. That's right, a table filled with tables. Okay, nested tables I'm okay with. But multiple variables being created in a global variable environment that have the same name is a little bit like, I don't know what's going to happen there. Is this a temporary variable that only becomes global when it's added to a global? And is this global because it's in the load function? This I don't know. Halogens, you recently converted MATLAB to C. Would not recommend, especially if the MATLAB wasn't written by a programmer. I think that's actually one of the funniest things. Oh, you're also saying I know that because I've had an X. Yeah, I've actually had a global variable already, haven't I? Because, yeah. So all variables are global. Yeah. All right. That limits how much we can control things. And it kind of, in a sense, to me, in the back of my head, limits the size and scope of what we can do. We're doing rectangle equals empty each time, so you're just resetting what it is. And then the one in the list is its own thing, so the list is a separate piece of memory. This does tell us something, that a table, sorry, is not a array of pointers. It is actually containing things in memory. So it's not indirected. It is like actually containing things. So when you copy the rectangle into the array, you're making a copy of it. So the next time you call rect, you're wiping the old rectangle. And then when you add it to the list, you're copying it into the list. So at least we know something about the back end that's happening there. So we can have lists of lists, and we can have a list can be a struct in this case. So we can call a function that creates rectangles. We can make multiple rectangles and put them into a list. And then we're saying we can create a rectangle by pressing the spacebar. All right, so we're building up functions. Christopher's saying a variable is assumed to be global unless it's explicitly declared as a local variable using the local keyword. All right, so Lua has a local keyword. All right, let's try this. Let's create the rectangle function. So I assume, let's not assume and let's test instead. If I put the function at the bottom, then if the function's at the bottom, will it be able to call it higher? Is this a C kind of thing where it compiles from top to bottom? Or is this something where it can find functions regardless of their location? Oh, what just happened? No. I'm coding in a tiny, tiny space here, and I only just thought of it then. Oh, look. It's giving it to me. Fine. I'll accept. So. Oh, local! Was that in the tutorial and I didn't see it? No, they're not localing it there. Interesting, interesting. And this makes sense for this to be local and then cleaned up when this finishes. Anyway, let's create... Oh, wait, this has to go after that. Because if I have a list of rectangles, this has to be able to access that variable. I mean, one way or the other, like something is seeing something that's below it. Okay, so we're not going to return. We're going to say list rectangles. I was going to say dot append, but it's insert. Right. Stop trying to make me return it. Okay. Okay, so we're making ones the same size as the other one. And we're inserting it. Should we make them colors? No, let's not bother. Local variables have their scope limited to the block where they are declared. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Christopher. So if I say local, it's it then works like a variable in my head works, like a C variable that would just get cleaned up at the end of the function. All right, I'm going to leave the local there because that seems to make sense. Okay, so we do this, we insert it. So all of these rectangles are going to be the same thing in the same place. How do we make sure that we can see them? A random number generator? What are they doing here? Okay, they're creating a new one by pressing space. Love will call love key pressed. Pass the pressed key as an argument. It will call create rectangle. Change our update and draw. Iterate through our list of rectangles. All right. Oh, so they're just constantly moving, and then we can spawn them. Oh, we are making shooting. All right. 100 pixels a second. That should be fine. Okay, so update we are going to... Do I have block commenting? Am I being bad to the AI by just like throwing random keywords at it and not actually asking questions? Dot dot double brackets. Sorry, dash dash double brackets. Oops, wrong one. Oh no, you don't need the dash dash. By the looks of it. Let's see. No, you do. You do. Okay, so we don't need that update, and we don't need this, but I want to keep them in case I need to look at it again. Okay, we are... Oh, wow, it already knows. I feel like someone else has done this tutorial and uploaded it to their GitHub. And Copilot's just reading the other person's tutorial and just going, here, why don't you just use what the other person did? I don't want is down though. Because is down is going to continually, like every frame, add a new rectangle. Because they said is pressed. Space, then create rectangle. Oh god, I press tab. So I have an instinct to tab complete a single word, and it's completing a function when I do that. But that's fine. Okay, create rectangle. So every time I update, I create a rectangle. And then for all of the... Oh my god, it's right there. For each rectangle in iPairs. Oh yeah, I did this before. So this is the iterator value pairs. In iPairs list rectangles do rectangle x equals rectangle x plus speed. So they're going to go to the right. If it is greater than the width of the graphics window, oh, this is good. It's good to know. Then remove it. All right, so we're adding them, and when they go off screen, they get deleted. This kind of slightly vibe coding where every time I press tab, an entire function gets spat out is kind of dangerous, but also kind of... It just makes it so easy. I press tab and I go, look at that. Yeah, all right, I'll accept that code. I guess this is how everyone's coding nowadays. Okay. So spacebar creates, and they will always move no matter what. And now we need to draw them. It's right there. I'm going to press tab. So for each eye in rectangle, draw it where it is. So it's X and Y, and the X is being updated by this. So looks, you are resisting just pressing tab and then Control S. Okay, so hopefully what this will do is will create rectangles that will instantly start moving to the right. Nope, it did not. Oh, is pressed. Interesting. Let's go have a look at the code example. Maybe space has to have a capital S. Where is it? Key pressed. Oh. Love key pressed key. If key equals space, then create rectangle. Is there an easier way to do that? No, that's not a link. It's just blue text. What was it called? Key pressed. Oh, wait, that was a lower... Is pressed might not even exist. I just made that up. Let's find out. Keyboard is down. Key repeat, text input. Key from scan code. Has text input. Okay. Key pressed. So this is done in callbacks. It's not a state. Oh, that makes sense. If you want it to trigger once only, it's better off as a callback function than it is a state that you check, because if you check it at the wrong time, you might never see it. So look, you like coding. Yeah, right. It is interesting that, like, if you want to code, it's more annoying having autocomplete stuff like that happening. Why would I want to reduce the amount of coding I do? That's a good point. Christopher, whole generation that codes but doesn't know how or why. What can go wrong? I am interested to see in, say, 10 years time, what happens to us and the overall kind of coding industry like that. Okay, so love.keypressed is a callback. So it is I have to write it as a function. How does it know what I want to do? Key pressed key. I do not want this to be escape though. So if it is space, then create rect. And I assume I can just call the function without any inputs or outputs, because this thing doesn't have any inputs or outputs. And I remove this thing, which was incorrect code. Okay, so the rectangles will be updated, their positions will be updated, their X position will be updated every frame no matter what, to move to the right. The draw call will just draw them wherever they are. Spacebar should create a new rectangle. Save that, see what it does. All right, so there's no rectangles because I haven't pressed spacebar yet. All right, attempt to call field insert a nil value. Line 42, insert rectangle, list rectangles. Is this even the correct syntax? Table.insert. Oh, okay, it's not the right syntax. Okay, so it's table insert name of table and object. So it's fine until I go off and start writing in a different language. What's it called? List rectangles. All right, now that I'm writing in the language I'm using instead of just some other language that I used to use. It's easier to resist when you leave the AI feature off. Yeah, that's true. I could turn it off, but at the same time, I'm also trying to learn how to use it. So there's a part of me which is just like, this is a new toy, and I don't want to be old man shouts at cloud kind of thing and reject new tools. So I want to try. Okay, so I'm going to start pressing spacebar. Heh. This would be better if I drew them as frames, right? Because then you actually see the multiple. They're kind of all joining together into one very long rectangle. But good start. Good start. We have we've learned how to react to a key press, which is good. We've learned how to insert to the table with a correct syntax as well. So let's see, what's our other options here? Fill or something else? Let's have a look at rectangle. Graphics polygon, graphics rectangle. Draw mode. Where is draw mode? Okay, draw mode is a link. Fill or line. Okay, there was only two options. I assumed that like there would be fill, line, and textured or something, but okay, so line should be clearer to see how many times I'm pressing the spacebar. How fast can I press the spacebar? Okay, good. We have reached the ADHD moment of the night where Mark spams the spacebar. Okay. Mitchell saying you have imposter syndrome, so you code it yourself to reassure yourself that you know things. Yeah. No, fair enough. It's nice to do that. It's funny because I'm kind of a whiteboard coder. So, when I was at my best, what I was good at was algorithm design and not coding it. So I'm that kind of person who is like would prefer to be able to put together a really good algorithm than ask someone else to code it rather than having to code it myself. So it's I guess a different way of thinking about things. So for me, vibe coding is really good if I forget syntax, but I know exactly how I want the code to flow. Okay. So we have real-time interactivity, we have movement, we can spawn objects and destroy them and things like that. And the way that they deal with objects is very simplistic. It's just a struct. Right. One more time. There's a lot of code in a rather short tutorial. No, that's fine. We're good. List of rectangles, key pressed. Yeah. Now, this is actually getting to the point where I'm learning things that will help me with what I want to do. So I've skipped now past, well, not skipped, I actually did most of it. The easy kind of like basic coding construct stuff, and we're into like just doing things. I do like the fact that it has taken me very little time in terms of like the number of hours. We're about 2 hours. I don't think I started actually coding until at least half hour in. So we're at most 2 hours. And I've got spawning multiple objects, adding and removing things, reacting to key presses or key down and stuff like that. So this all works out pretty well. Multiple files and scope. We are jumping quickly. With multiple files, our code will look more organized and easier to navigate. Create a new file, example.lua. Make sure it's in the same folder. In this file, create a variable. I will put a special comment. Is that just a comment if it has an exclamation mark? At the top of the code block to make clear in what file you have to put the code. This is only for the tutorial. It has no use. Oh, right. Okay, it's just a comment. It's just them saying which file you put each bit of code in. So I have another file, and this says it requires. So this is our hash include is require. And then it is just the string of the file name. All right, let's do it. So we add another file. And in this thing, what did we put in that thing? We just had a variable, right? Yeah, test equals 20. Do I already have a variable called test in here? Oh, that's another thing. If I import something that has a whole bunch of variables, are they going to conflict? I'll test that out in a second. Test equals 20. Okay, so super simple. In this one, we say we require. Let me make sure that's the right text. Require example. All right, easy. I keep saying things are easy and then just getting them wrong. So we'll see how we go. Okay, require example. And then we want to make sure that worked. Print test. No need for love.load or whatever. Okay, so this is... Oh, they were doing this in separate files. That's fine. I'm going to keep my main file. I don't want to delete any of the code in here because it's all stuff that I learned from. We've still only written like 50 lines of code. So it's all still learning. Okay. We can print test. Is that what it said? Print test. Yeah, okay, so that's in import. So require means that I have imported everything that's in this file, I assume, and now I can use it. 20 Love2D is running. So print test, and then on the load, it printed this. Okay, so we can see that we can import from another file. I don't know how... Okay, this is still working. I don't know how nicely it imports, or whether this is like basically a copy-paste of that file appears where this is, which is kinda what a hash include is. Not exactly, but kinda. But okay, let's see what else they're gonna show about how you can do things. Don't add the .lua in the file name because Lua does this for us. Lua assumes that it's a Lua file, I get. We can also put a file in a subdirectory. Make sure to include the whole path. Yeah, okay. So, relative path, I assume. All right, test in this case is what we call a global variable. I thought all of them were, but anyway. It's a variable that we can use everywhere in our project. As opposed to global, a local variable, you can create a local... yeah, Christopher, this is what you're saying. You can create a local variable by writing local in front of the variable name. All right, so here's an interesting... Okay, well, I don't want those to be the same number. Here's an interesting test. I create the variable first, then I import this. So this thing probably won't be running. If it's like a copy paste, not a run, it never declared the variable, and in here it becomes a reassignment of the variable. Oh, I don't want to do this. So is it going to be 5 or 20? I assume it's going to be 20. I think this is going to work no matter what, because even if that's a global variable, test equals 20 will appear here. So it should be 20. It's 20. Okay. And likewise, this shouldn't be that weird to think that it will now be 10. Yeah. Okay, so this is not... Because declaration and assignments are the same text, this actually protects this from any kind of strange issues of double instantiation of a variable, because if it didn't exist before, it creates the variable. If it did already exist, it just modifies the value of the variable. So it doesn't matter which file this is in, it's still ordered by the point at which it is required. Yeah, require is kind of like run this file. Yeah. Require feels like a copy paste of this entire file, but we'll see if there's more subtlety to it later. Okay, so we can require that. We can print it out to test that it's working. Scope. Local variables are limited to their scope. Okay, cool. We're learning about scope. And if we call something local, then it stays in scope and disappears. I have a question. Okay. Gonna make a function. Test local. Local test equals 99. Print test, end. I assume that this is now a different variable because it's local, and it won't change this one. But we shall see. Okay, so print test, then did this one print? It did. Then we call test local. And then we print test again. So this way we will see whether the local variable affects the global variable, or whether the local variable is just constrained to its own scope and is a completely different variable from the global. Because in here, there are two variables. There's two variables, both called test. One is local to this environment, one's global to the entire program, which means it also exists in this environment. So whether this changes the local or changes the global is an interesting question. Attempt to call global test local a nil value. This is a nil value? Did I create this function incorrectly? Syntax. Nope. Or is it saying, hang on, I gotta run it again. Is it saying that that thing is unable to do that? Attempt to call global test local a nil. This is a bad error message. Okay. I don't know from that error message what's happening, but maybe I can't call functions outside of one of these load, update, draw. No, that's not true, because I was running code in the hello world before. Oh no, it was always in a drawer. Okay. All right, fine. Let's just chuck this in load. Right? Same thing in here. Maybe it's something like that. That I can't call a function outside of one of the proper main function things. You can't just put running code out here. I don't know if that's the case or not. We'll see. Ooh, it was that. So the error was me trying to call a function in a, like, outside of a scope. So the functions have to be inside of a scope. So print test, test local, print test. This shows that if you call a local variable the same name as a global variable, it creates a new variable that is not connected in any way to the global. Good to know. Local scopes something narrow and makes it unable to affect the scope above it. Shadowing. Is it called shadowing? That's what it's called. There's always like really specific terms for things that I don't remember. Okay, good. Good to know. All right, so we have shadowing then. Shadowing the concept, I guess, that local cannot affect global. Good. Variable shadowing. Awesome. Okay, so we've got scope. And they're just showing stuff. Visualization of scope. Yeah, okay. So this is teaching people what scope is, and that's good because I already know what scope is, so I'm going to skip over this. When and why locals? Best practice to always use local variables. If it is the best practice to always use local variables, why did you make that a keyword to use local variables instead of the keyword being global and then the assumption to be local? But anyway, they're saying always use global. Oh yeah, right, the create rect they changed to a local. Right, they didn't show that before because they were showing the concept and now they're showing scoping. To be fair, the Love people didn't make Lua. Yeah, that's true. They're just using the language. But I'm still going to complain about Lua itself because there's a few things that have come up that I haven't entirely liked. Indexing from one. I mean, non-typed variables is scary, but not impossible to work with. But indexing from one is freaky. That's like taking a sort of globally known convention and changing it. Which maybe if you think about it should be done, but it makes it very difficult because every other language indexes from 0. So bit Strange. Hamish Lua is not great. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the downside. Okay. I think all right. We're like 10:30 now, so I should probably wrap up. What I have learned from tonight is that Love2D is definitely going to work. 100% going to work. It's got the capability to do, like, in that amount of time when I was just like learning what I'm doing. I have animation, I have interactivity, and it's all in an API that's really easy to access. The only downside I can see from Love2D is that it is in Lua. If Love2D had an API into a different language, then maybe this would be a point where I'd be like, yeah, I don't need to do any more research. We'll just use this. But the fact that it's in Lua with some of the variable typing, index from one, and global scope, default global scoping is all kind of working against it. I mean, I still think it's like a fairly decent candidate for me to do dev in. Looks like a rhythm game now. So looks at saying, like how modern C++ people say, I'll use const by default, and then Rust is like, I see where you're coming from. Now, what if const by default, then you have to add mute to get mutability? Yeah, right. Hamish is like, you can use teal for a typed layer on top of Lua. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that would still hook into Love2D. Haljan saying, apparently Lua counts as a strongly typed language. The other type adjectives Wikipedia use are dynamic and duck. What is duck typed language? I don't. Oh, I guess it might be a strongly typed language in that the implicit type happens when a variable is declared, and even if there's never a specific word said and it's not typed by the programmer, it is still typed. Because when I did that string and arithmetic thing, it basically said you can't do arithmetic on a string. So it was a string because of the first data that I put into it. So because of the way I instantiated it, it had a type. You just don't say what that type is. So there could be ambiguous typing, but it's typing nonetheless. I think Hamish is saying the same thing. I am right, where strongly typed is the language runtime knows the type, not necessarily I know the type when I created the variable. Hal just saying the same thing. Generally, strongly typed means it'll give you errors, while weakly means it'll just try. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think that's what Hamish is saying is I'm misunderstanding in a sense that strongly and weakly typed is different from static and dynamic typed. And I'm thinking more about the other way when I said strong and weak type. Haljan says, curious to see what it'll do if you try to change the type by assigning something else. Let's go. Okay, so X is 100, print it out. X is now tree, print it out. Let's see where the error is, or if reassigning a different value to something will change its type, and it will be able to print out both of those. Well, it's running, and it did 100 and tree. So one thing I do like is that initialization and updating the value of a variable is syntactically identical. So you can reinitialize a variable name into a new variable by just assigning it a different value. The only downside to this is accidental reassigning of a variable. So if I have a situation where x is equal to 100, I accidentally change it to a string, and then I continue using it in other places as if it's a number, like here. Oh no, that's a different x. That X is never used again, so it's fine. Yeah, so if I use this as a, try to use this as a number later, then I'll get my errors. Okay, statically typed means you can infer types without runtime. So this is dynamically typed. Statically typed means you can infer types without runtime, which is what gives you good IntelliSense. And that's why we don't necessarily have good IntelliSense here, because there's no way to assign this symbol a type with IntelliSense. Duck typing is an application of the duck test. Oh, right. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. To determine whether an object can be used for a particular purpose. So that is like the attempt to use it for the purpose, and if it works, it works. So that's like all numeric types can have arithmetic applied to them. Python's also dynamic, strong, and duck. Right. So that's going to be similar to whatchamacallit? Similar to this, I think. It's dynamic. It is strongly typed. It may or may not be duck. But who knows? Like if we add a int to a float, syntactically the same variables is only for globals though. I'm not sure what you mean there, Hamish. Maybe you were referring to the good IntelliSense and stuff. Chris was saying sometimes turning ints to string is okay, but not the other way around. So you should swap it. Ooh, okay. Oh, it's still running. It's still running. It seems okay with it. Yep, it is running. So it was string and then int, and it's fine. So it seems to have been able to deal with that problem. Okay. Wait, where's my... I'm gonna do a pros and cons list and then wrap this up. Okay, pros. Easy API. Real-time loop is simple. Very easy to get started. Renderer doesn't need code. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just go graphics this thing and it just draws it. Okay. Oh, right. So you're saying that I mentioned that I like the definition of changing variables the same syntax. But that's only true for globals. Oh, yeah. Because if you declare a local with a local. Although, whatchamacallit? In the local context, you can probably reassign its type. As long as you're still within that function. Haljan saying Copilot support as a pro. Yeah. AI writes code for me. Brr. AI goes brr. Okay, so cons. Typing is typing is weird. Strangely typed language. Index from 1 will throw off my old man programmer brain. Global local variables might be an issue. Unless I just remember to put local in front of everything. So every time I instantiate a variable, I put local in front of it instead of int, you know. Would you be interested in working in Godot or a Rust equivalent Bevy? I don't know them, so let's see. I mean, maybe we try something else next week, or maybe I do some of that offline. We'll see. Or maybe I don't know whether I should go back and forth between like, do I want to use this engine? Because this was a valid test, even without knowing what I wanted to do with the engine. Just going through the tutorial, I learned some stuff about it. But I also want to think about like what what is the game and what's the feel of the game, because you could do a whole lot of work on how you want a game to be without ever writing a single line of code. And that work is worthy of doing as well. So even paper prototyping and stuff like that. It's me, I'm the annoying Rust guy. But also equating Bevy and Godot is an insane comparison. See, I don't know them well enough to know. Godot could be interesting, right? Oh, hi, Cole. I don't know if you've spoken yet before, but hello. Godot is one that's definitely been around. People have talked about it. I've never used it because I was always a Unity or Unreal person. So, what's next? Godot? So you're doing random Google searches and throwing them into my chat. Worse than AI. Godot is like Unity, but open source and indie. Right. Bevy is just an entity component system framework. Oh, right. Okay. I confirmed I'm not real. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Godot is worth looking into. Maybe next Godot, or we do some prototyping. Typing of gameplay elements. We'll see. I mean, I could rotate back and forth between pure design streams and engine testing streams until one of them gets ticked off. I mean, the prototyping is not going to get ticked off, but until the engine one gets ticked off, and then we go back to prototyping and stuff like this. Handle zero graphics input or scripting. That's... Oh, you don't know what that means? Oh, the entity component system framework, because I think it's like it can do objects and their relationships with each other, but it can't do this thing where it's just like graphics.draw and it's up and it's running, and then it's doing the graphics in the frame rate that your computer can do, and then allowing you to just kind of easily just kind of go, just draw this thing and have it happen. So LOVE2D is really easy because you don't have to do any rendering code. So this is where it's like very easy to get started. Renderer doesn't need code. As opposed to if I was doing it in OpenGL, I'd have to put points on the screen. I'd have to connect them as geometry, and then I'd have to fill them or texture them and stuff like that, which is like, nah, too much, right? Oh, hi Dongju, how's it going? Quake 3 engine for some C shenanigans. Okay, I'm gonna let that one go. Although I don't know how hard it actually is. But the fact that we're not even doing, well, I don't know if we're doing 3D rendering. Again, maybe I need to think more about what the actual gameplay is. So if someone spends 5 minutes in this game, what actions do they take? What are the outcomes of those actions? What do we display? What do we show them so that they take the right actions, you know? So that's a lot of fiddly thinking that has to happen. We'll figure that out later, because we have been on stream for 3 hours now. It's enough. We can wrap it up. Bevy itself is just an object model. Yeah, okay. Plugins for 3D stuff. That seems like having to kind of tape the engine together before you use it. I think that would be a pro then for LOVE2D over that, because LOVE2D is like a complete engine. I should put that in here, right? spelling error mistakes. Complete and self-contained system. I'm not going to say engine, because it's not a game engine. It's a system. It's an API? API. No idea. Yeah. No idea how hard the Quake 3 setup is. Yeah. At least it's Quake 3. At least it didn't say Doom or Quake 1 engine where everything is like a really older style. Although maybe that fits better with my code style. If we pick an engine that was developed as close as possible to the time that I was an undergrad software engineer. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. Thank you for coming along this interesting little delve into Love2D and how it works, and helping me kind of decide whether or not it is the one we're going to use. I'm going to say it gets a maybe. There are reasons to use it, but there are also reasons not to use it. So until I find one that has no reasons not to use it, then we will see. So Hamish is in the latest id Software engine released as open source is the Doom BFG engine 2012. That's the one from 2016 Doom, right? Or is it from earlier? And to use it, you have to tear out the Doom specific stuff. All right, so they just open sourced the whole thing. They didn't make it something usable. I do also complete and self-contained API that is completely documented. Well, I'm going out on a limb here in saying it's completely documented. I'm assuming it's completely documented. I mean, if there are features that aren't documented, I'm never going to find them. So it better be completely documented. But I think that is a lot of what makes Love2D definitely worth using. The things that make it harder to use is that it's in a language that's unfamiliar to me. And not just unfamiliar in that I don't know it, but unfamiliar in some fundamental design ways, which are different from how I think. It's not necessarily good or bad, it's just going to be difficult for me to handle them. Quake 2 engine is also open source. Yeah, okay. I think, as fun as it would be, I'm not sure I want to delve into attempting to use old professional engines rather than things are set up to be easy to use. Because there's also that decision on an engine is how fast can I reach sort of MVP status? And I would say Love2D is like medium fast. It's not fast because I have to write all the code. So you think of all those rectangles and just placing them on screen using coordinates is very different from something like we're probably going to see in the coming weeks with either Godot or Unity or something, where you just drag and drop objects, you move them around, and then whatever place they end up being is the coordinates they have. So being able to do stuff in a graphical interface is sometimes much easier than raw coding everything. I do like coding though, so we see how we go. Efficiency versus the hobby of just writing code, and efficiency is not entirely important in this situation because this whole streaming on Mondays thing does not actually have an end goal. Like, yeah, sure, if I finish the game and I get to the point where it's like I can release this and chuck it up on itch or something like that, or even Steam, that would be nice. But it's not the reason I'm streaming it. It's not like I'll stop streaming when it's done. So it doesn't have to be finished efficiently. So whether I want an efficient engine or not is more a matter of like, do I prefer it, I guess. Because if I go for like weeks and weeks and weeks and don't get features finished because the engine I chose is so hard to work in, it's probably not a good idea. Anyway, Haljan saying, been interesting seeing you learn a language in a very different design than you're used to. Yes. You're is that a PL nerd? So you love learning unfamiliar language styles. All right, Hamish is heading off. See you later. That's okay. I'm heading off too. Christopher says there will be bugs and upgrades. Basically modified gold source, right? Surely when you finish, you start streaming, learning to speedrunning your own game. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, then I'd play through the whole game and see how well I can actually solve the problems. See if I've designed it that well. And then rewrite the game based on the playthrough and stuff. Programming language. Oh, right, that's what you meant by PL. Cool. Okay, I'm wrapping it up there. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. This was super interesting. And we will do more of this because there is no way that this gets like selected as the engine without me looking at other engines. The C code that I was doing last time is definitely not getting chosen. Raw C is not happening. I'm not making an ASCII art game. So Lua is in first place over C at the moment. All right. Thank you all for coming along, and I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.